All right, so we'll get started. This year, our 2016 open enrollment is going to be from October the 12th through October the 30th. You generally have one time each year to enroll and make changes or waive coverages, and it will actually be effective January the 1st, 2016. Anything that you elect, waive, or make changes to. So aside from open enrollment, if you experience a qualifying event, meaning a loss or a gain in coverage, you, whether it be your spouse got a new job and they have eligibility through their current employer, a birth happened, any of the things that are listed here on the screen, you have within 30 days to notify HR of the qualifying event, submit the appropriate documentation as well as a benefit change form for that to change or happen mid-year. This list is not all-inclusive, so if you want more information, either contact HR or visit irs.gov.
And I'm just going to say something here, and this is Michelle. Please don't come to us at day 31, day 60, day 90. We will, do anything that we can to get you what you need, but there are certain restrictions that we have on our end that we have to follow, and by restrictions, I mean plan documents and laws, and so if we make an exception for one, we've got to make an exception for everybody, and we're just not willing to do that. So you've got to do your part in getting us the information within that time period so we can help you make those changes.
So for 2016, there are a few changes, which we'll discuss during the webinar. There's a slight change for the medical plan with the network and the premiums. Vision, we are changing our vision vendor. There's a slight change to the HSA employer contribution and a contribution increase for the FSA, which Michelle will talk about. So who is actually eligible for benefits? If you are considered a full-time or a part-time one employee averaging 30 hours or more per week, you're eligible to enroll in benefits. Who can be covered aside yourself as the employee? Your spouse, your child, any legal dependent up to age 26. If you are enrolling newly added dependents for 2016, I do need proof of relationship. For a spouse, that can be a copy of your marriage license, and for a child or your children, a copy of their birth certificate or a court order agreement. And all of those forms should be due to me by October the 30th. So don't forget to submit that to me. So your wellness incentive. We went through the biometric screening, we went through the member health assessment. If you completed everything by the deadline, September the 15th, you're eligible for the 2016 wellness incentive. That's $100 per month off of your medical premiums. That's a huge discount just for you to do a couple of things. In addition to that, there is a tobacco affidavit form that you have to fill out during open enrollment. That's a part of the wellness incentive. And that form is located on page 77 of your benefit guide. That is due to HR by October the 30th. So when you're filling out the form, you'll check off the box either you are a smoker or you're not a smoker. If you're not a smoker, that's it. You just print, sign, and date and turn it into HR by October 30th. If you are a smoker, there is a tobacco cessation course that you have to go through. It's a 4-week course. You can't skip ahead. And that you'll have to take anywhere from January the 1st, 2016, and it's due by February the 29th. It's a true 4-week course. You can't skip ahead, so you can't say, I'm going to take the 4 weeks in 4 days. It quite doesn't work that way. If you do check off that box, I will reach out to you separately to discuss it further.
And also, if you go in at the beginning of January and then you kind of forget about it until the beginning of February, it will reset you thinking that you're not engaged and you'll have to start over. So once you commit, just put it on your calendar to every week go in and get that done. So then that way it's done, because we did have to raise a couple people's premiums because they did something like that. It's not anything that we enjoy, so be sure that you have it on your calendar and are doing your part to get that done.
And if you're just wondering if, did I submit everything? Did I meet the wellness incentive? You can actually go in ADP right now. Go under your personal profile under the custom field section on the lower right-hand side, and they'll actually let you know if your biometric screening and your MHA was received to let you know if you're eligible for the wellness incentive for 2016.
Okay, and that $1,200 incentive is a huge incentive. We did look at other competitors' premiums. Some give like a $30 per pay period or $30 per month discount. $1,200 is a huge amount off of your premium just for doing a couple simple things. So one thing I do want to mention before I start on this slide is that if you have questions, we definitely want you to ask those questions. We know that sometimes people are a little sensitive to asking questions in a group that maybe they're not familiar with. There is a question section on the right-hand side of your screen that you can type in a question, and we'll pause every now and then and have some time for questions. So just go ahead and type your questions in there as you have them, and then we will stop and answer those periodically. So moving on to the medical high deductible plan, the layout and the format is the same, if you will. In network, once you meet your deductible, the plan pays at 100%. So prescription costs go toward that, and then anything that you pay for your medical care goes towards that deductible. So once that's met, 100%. Out of network, it's different. You have a higher deductible. You also have a co-insurance piece that even though you've met your deductible, you're still going to be liable for the 20%. One thing we did want to mention, because it's not going to show up in the medical plan design, the medical plan design is going to look the same. We've had some challenges this year with out-of-network usage, and by this I mean that from a physician standpoint, when you go to a physician and they're out-of-network, they were getting paid at a higher rate than those physicians that were in-network. So the physicians that were out of network was like, okay, I will take your case, and you know what, I'm going to write off that 20%, and I'm going to, help you with that deductible because I'm going to be paid at such a higher rate that why wouldn't I do this? I'd be crazy not to make this kind of money. We are changing our reimbursement rates for providers to be more in line with our in-network rates. So those type of arrangements will be less attractive because what has happened is that in a case, if they had stayed in network, we would have paid as a plan like $200,000. When they went out of network, because of the rates we were paying, we now paid $800,000 for that same thing that if they had stayed in network, we would have paid $200,000 for. So we had to make this change. If it doesn't correct it and people continue to go out of network and physicians tend to go, oh, okay, I'm going to pay that and write that off, and we still are paying these higher out-of-network costs, then we're going to have to make some future adjustments. Hopefully this will take care of those because the goal is that we've got a lot of providers in network already. There's really no reason for you to go out of network. And so if you're going out of network, you are going to pay the higher deductible. You are going to pay the 20%. You can be billed by that provider for anything different than what they get reimbursed. So if you are going out of network, just check with your provider ahead of time when you go to them in 2016 to say, okay, well, what's my damage going to be if I continue to come to you? If it is a true emergency, and by true emergency, I don't mean a jammed finger. I don't mean oh, I've got the flu. If it's a true emergency, it's going to pay it in network rates. So if you're, out of the country or in another state that doesn't have any United Healthcare providers, or it's an emergency and they happen, you're passed out, they take you to this out-of-network hospital. As long as it's a true emergency, it'll pay it in network rates. You are going to have to let UMR know, though, that was an emergency and provide documentation to that fact. So the Choice Plus network, we talked about, it offers a lot of in-network physicians. Again, there's no reason for you really to go out of network unless you're just kind of hanging on to this one provider that you just love. And that in and of itself is your choice, and that's why we provide the out-of-network coverage. You do pay the contracted rate prior to your deductible being met. So if you're thinking, oh my gosh, I've got to go to the doctor, and the doctor's rate is $300, but the contracted rate is $120, you're going to pay the $120. You're going to pay that contracted rate out of pocket. Many of you have been on the high deductible plan for a number of years and are familiar with this, but some of you, you're going into your second year with this. So don't be afraid to go. It's just that you've got to kind of do your homework, and we'll talk about how you do that here in a little bit. So moving on to medical plan design, you're not going to notice any changes in this slide. It's the same stuff, the $2,500 individual deductible, $5,000 for family. And using the Duggars, again, as an example, even though they've had their bit of trauma this year. If Jim Bob goes, and he meets his $2,500 deductible, and, all of the rest go, and they meet that family deductible of $5,000, then all of the rest of the Duggars get to go. It's paid at 100% as long as they remain in network. The out-of-network is $4,000 for an individual, $8,000 for family, and then 20% after the deductible. Preventative care, as long as you stay in network, is covered at 100%. And so that's your well woman, well man, mammograms, colonoscopies, all those fun things where they poke and prod you and make you drink things ahead of time or do things ahead of time. We do encourage you to get those because in the end, the plan is here for your health, and to not take advantage of those, I've heard too many stories of if I had only had my mammogram or if I had only had that exam done, they would have caught this, but you know what, I just didn't have time, I didn't go, I thought I might have to pay something, and it winds up, costing them really more in the end because it's costing them their health and sometimes their life. So we really do want and encourage you to get the preventative care exams. So looking at, there's a healthcare cost estimator, and we're going to do a demo of that for you. It is on the UMR website, and Cam's going to, I'm going to pull that up. Cam's driving with the mouse here, and so I'm going to log in because this is important, and the reason why it's important is because even though you may have already met your deductible, we still all have to be cost conscious. And I say that because if you're racking up money and costs and claims behind the scenes because you went to a hospital instead of a standalone facility or something to that effect, you're going to, let me click continue here. You're going to wind up charging the plan more basically, and then that's going to affect premiums in the end. So it'll kind of wind up affecting you or others in the end. And so we all have to do our part. Otherwise, our premiums are going to continue to increase. And it's not a threat, it's just actually a truth that we all have to be diligent in managing our costs. So we went to the website here, and maybe I'll go back to home here and see if it'll take me there. And then health cost estimator. And then we're going to go ahead and get started here. We've got a pop-up going on. Sorry guys, those pop-ups always cause some issues. This again, let's see what happens. That one went. Okay, so enter in your zip code. Yeah, sometimes webinars and technology never do run smooth. Okay, go ahead and get started here. I agree. None of us ever read those things, do we? Okay, so there's my plan, and then up here I can type in, okay, so I need to have a sonogram done. Okay, we're going to get a whole bunch of different sonograms coming up. I've looked at brain sonogram. Some people say that I might be a little crazy, so we'll just go ahead and look at that one. Okay, so brain sonogram. And so the average cost in our area in that zip code is $255. I could go to a provider that is charging me $172, or I could go to a provider that's charging me $433. Because those first dollars are coming out of my pocket, I'm definitely, first of all, going to choose a provider that's of quality. I'm not going to meet somebody in a back alley and have a brain ultrasound done, for sure. I'm going to choose a quality provider, but I'm also going to be cost effective in that choice because it's coming out of my pocket. Even if I had met my deductible, it's coming out of the plan's pocket. So I could go to Willow Bend Diagnostic for $91. And let's see here. Or I could go to Health Imaging Partners for $324. The hospitals in general do tend to be more expensive than other providers, the standalone facilities, and that's because they have more overhead to deal with. So you tend to want to stay away from the hospitals unless you absolutely have to go there. So for those things that you can do other places, generally a standalone provider will be more cost effective. So that is how you use the health cost estimator. And let's see. Okay.
And so with that, we're going to move on to the prescription. So when you enroll in the medical plan, you're automatically enrolled in the prescription plan through ScriptCare. We do have a generic program that's mandatory. If you purchase or choose to elect a preferred or non-preferred brand formulary, you may incur additional costs if there's a lower cost alternative available. Also, if there's a generic drug available and you select a brand drug, you will be required to go through the step therapy program. And what a step therapy program is, if there are other medications available that could be comparable in a lower cost, then they'll ask that you take that. Obviously, consult your physician about it, but that is integrated into our ScriptCare plan. And just to mention again, our prescription plan, it's whatever you're paying out of pocket, it counts towards your deductible as well. A lot of people don't know that there is a tool on scriptcare.com where you can actually do a formulary search and a price calculator to see how much whatever RX that you're taking, how much it costs, if it's on the higher end of cost or the lower end. So I'm going to show you the next screen. And all you have to do is use your member ID, register through scriptcare.com, and when you get there, and I use Crestor, because we all know Crestor, it's common. There are commercials out there for it. It's to lower cholesterol. So I typed in Crestor in the formulary search, and I saw that, it's the highest cost out there. If you look at it, it's got like $5 signs. But if I went to a generic drug, it would only cost me a little bit less. So I took the generic and the brand, I typed it into the price calculator, and for a 10-day supply for the generic, I would pay $5.46 versus if I did the brand, that would cost me $147.83. I mean, I don't know about you, but I would prefer to pay the $5. That's a savings in alone about $142. And if you do the mail order prescription plan, ScriptCare works with Prescription Mart Inc. for mail orders. That's even less expensive. And that's a savings for me of about $129 if I did the generic. So, I mean, a lot of individuals, they don't know that this is out there. So just make sure that if you are, you're paying out of pocket for something that's a contracted rate, be more consumer conscious of how you're using your healthcare dollars.
And that cost is just for a 10-day supply if you're there. So the health savings account is important. It's important to save for those first dollar expenses, and you can do that pre-tax. You may go, well, I'm going to hold on to my money, but you do have a tax saving associated with it. The annual contribution limit is, for an individual, it's $3,050. For family, it's $6,450. That does take into account the $300 employer contribution that we put in. If you're 55 and older and want to put in extra money because Medicare is expensive, you can put in an additional $1,000 per year. The change that we're making this year is that instead of the $300 up front, we're going to fund it on a per pay period basis. So as long as you put in $1,250, speaking old-timey, I guess, $12.50 per pay period, we will match you $12.50 per pay period. You will get the $300 over the course of the year. And I may hear collective groans out there, and I really can't because you're all muted. We're doing this because people would wait for that $300 and then they'd leave. So last year alone, we wound up losing $15,000. So a small Kia Rio, if you will. So we're going to try spreading that out. So instead of raising premiums, medical premiums further, as you'll notice in your guide, they have gone up 11.1%, the medical premiums. From an employee perspective, it's $2.50 per pay period. So it's not too much in the scheme of things. Our premiums are so low that 11.1% sounds huge, but it winds up being a small amount. And the reason why we're having to increase premiums this year is because we have our administrative costs that have continued to decline. In 2013, I want to say that they were about $400,000. This year they're running us $675,000. So that's a huge amount of money that we've got to pass on in some way, shape, or form. We're not going to be able to continue to keep the whole piece of that, or even the large chunk of it. At some point, we're going to have to pass these on, and that's where keeping claims costs down, because what happens is that if a claim goes over $100,000, it gets paid by our insurance or our stop loss provider. And the more of those that they see, because either people have health issues, which is fine, people are going to have health issues. That is what the plan is here for. But if they're not doing those preventative screenings, and then something happens, or they're going out of network instead of saying in network, it winds up going to the stop loss provider, to the insurance provider. And it's just like car insurance, it's just like life insurance. The more risk you are, the more they charge you. So if you have gotten into a lot of accidents, that insurance coverage for you the next year is going to go up. So we're anticipating another 10% to be added on to that cost for next year as well. The Affordable Care Act has its own administrative burdens, and we haven't paid any penalties or anything because we're compliant, but they also have fees that you have to pay for basically the health insurance that the government is providing, those subsidies and things like that. Those are also administrative costs to our plan as well. So I started off at health savings account and I wound up with premiums. So if you have any questions about the health savings account, it's through Wells Fargo. I'm sure you're all familiar with it by now, unless it's going to be your first year on the plan. You can go to irs.gov for more information about the health savings account. But we do have a short video to show you about the benefits of it.
You've got taking care of yourself and your loved ones covered. Vitamins, transportation, gym membership, lunch, even that trumpet. But when your family needs health care, you may worry about being able to take care of the costs. What if you could feel confident instead? A Wells Fargo Health Savings Account, or HSA, helps take the worry out of paying for healthcare costs, so you can make the most of every healthcare dollar you spend, save, or invest. Here's how it works. Your HSA acts like a safety net to help you pay for expected and unexpected healthcare expenses. You can use your account with your HSA qualified health plan to get the care you need. Then, for example, when you go to the doctor or dentist, fill a prescription, or get your eyes checked, you already have money set aside to pay for your health plan deductible and other out-of-pocket costs. But this isn't just any account. It's a tax-advantaged account. That means you can use your HSA tax-free to pay those bills. And get this, the money you put into your HSA is also tax-deductible. You may even be able to contribute pre-tax if your employer allows. And the interest and investment earnings on your HSA funds, also tax-free. You get tax advantages on every dollar you put in or spend from your HSA, making your money go further when paying for health care. And what's more, your HSA goes where you go, even if you get a new job, switch health insurance providers, or finally retire to that island. You can still use your HSA. It's yours. And you can carry over money from year to year and save it for retirement. Now here's the really big deal. Your HSA can help you invest for future expenses, just like an IRA. So when you're retired on that island, you'll have money socked away for health care and even more. It's easy. Choose from a range of mutual funds or work with an experienced investment professional to find the fund that's right for you. Now, Who's eligible for an HSA? You. If you're currently enrolled in an HSA qualified health plan and aren't covered by other health insurance, on Medicare, or can be claimed as a dependent on someone else's tax return. If you're not sure, talk to your employer or health insurance company. If you're ready to get started, Wells Fargo is here to help with tools, information, education, and one-on-one support. Online or on the go. Why wait? Get started today.
Well, while Cam shuts that down, we did have a question that somebody is on a kind of a more expensive preferred or non-preferred medication, if you will, due to their health conditions. And they were asked if they got dinged for that. Essentially, the answer to the question is no. As long as if there's a generic available, you start with the generic. If that doesn't work and your physician says, hey, script care, this isn't working, we're going to have to go to this one, you don't get dinged for it other than you're going to pay the higher cost for that up until the time that you meet your deductible. That's the only penalty that you have in regard to that. Certainly, we all want you to take care of your health, and that's, again, why the plan is here. So if you have any questions, don't forget to type those in.
No, we don't want to watch that again. So we're going to move on to the limited purpose FSA. The reason why it's called a limited purpose FSA is because it will only cover dental and vision expenses only. It will not cover your medical. It will not cover your RX expenses. And you have to be enrolled in the high deductible health plan as well as enroll in the HSA to be eligible to enroll in the limited purpose FSA. That was a mouthful. This is a use it or lose it account, so if you don't use all your funds at the end of the year on 12/31, and you don't claim anything, then you lose it. It doesn't roll over from year to year. The funds are available day one versus an HSA. The funds are there as you contributed, so that's a big difference there. It's also pre-tax. The annual contribution limit increased for 2016 from $2,500 to $2,550, so $50 more that you can actually contribute towards. Reimbursement options. You can either do the normal paper reimbursement form. It can be an auto setup to where every time you go to your provider, a dental appointment or whatnot, there's an expense, they'll just go ahead and pay from the FSA, or a Benny card, so pretty much a debit card. If you choose a Benny card option, there is a fee. It's $1.50 that UMR charges. And if you are choosing the limited purpose FSA, you can actually choose your reimbursement options online in ADP, and I'll show you how to do that at the end of the slides. Dependent care FSA, you can also elect this if you have a dependent child or a dependent who is physically or mentally unable to care for him or herself, and a dependent child who's age 13 or younger. And what this is for before or after school daycare and things like that. It doesn't cover tuition or books. They are very picky about what they'll pay. There is a list of what they'll pay, what they'll not pay, online at umr.com. I will be posting our FSA plan documents online, so actually you can see a full list of it as well. Dependent care FSA, the max that you can put in there per year is $5,000. Unless you're married and you file separate tax returns, and it's $2,500. Let's say if you elect the dependent care FSA here and your spouse has an FSA elsewhere, make sure that you are only contributing up to the IRS max of $5,000. Reimbursement options, you can either fill out a form with the receipts, or you can actually have a Benny card. And again, the Benny card has a fee with it. It's $1.50 per month that UMR charges. And dependent care FSA, the money is there to reimburse you as you contributed. So it's not there day one like the other one. So it's there as the funds are available. Our dental plan is through UMR, and I get a lot of questions. Hey Cam, can I go in-network, out-of-network? UMR is not picky. It doesnn't differentiate between in-network and out-of-network, so you can go to the provider of your choice. Deductible, it's $50 for an individual, $150 for a family. And once you meet that, then there's a discount after that or co-insurance. Preventative screenings are covered at 100%. And when you're going to the doctor for, let's say, a cleaning or whatnot, whatever that cost is, it counts towards your annual maximum benefit of $1,500 per person per calendar year. Anything that you're getting for basic services, whether it be oral, extractions, or fillings, it's covered after deductible at 50%. Major services, same thing, 50% after deductible. Orthodontia is only for children up to age 19. It's 50% co-insurance. And for the orthodontia, it's also a $1,500 maximum per child, and that's a lifetime maximum as well. You can go to UMR to find a provider, but honestly, you can go to any dental provider that you prefer.
Okay, so vision coverage, we are going to change vision providers this year, and that's based on some feedback that we've received about the network, and hey, I can't go to Walmart or Sam's Club or VisionWorks, and you know, otherwise they did a good job for us, but Davis Vision is allowing us to basically give you a better, or actually $0 copay on some things, lower premiums, and it's an expanded network. So that is why we are headed that way. So lenses are the same every 12 months, $0 copay for single, bifocal, and trifocal. I think that was $10 before, if I remember correctly. Contact lenses every 12 months, up to $150 allowance for conventional and disposable. Fitting fee, it'll be covered up to $60, and if medically necessary, meaning you can't wear glasses, it's paid in full. Frames you can get every 24 months. The allowance is up to $150, and then there's a 20% discount. And again, we talked about the expanded network. If you're wondering if your current vision provider is part of their network, we did do what they call a disruption analysis to see, you know, is this going to be a big deal? It didn't look to be a big deal, but you can go on to www.davisvision.com, go to the member area, and there'll be one side that asks for a login. The other side says if you're in open enrollment, you can put in this code, and I'm going to allow you a minute to get a pen, because if you want to do this, you're going to need a pen to write this down. You're going to put in this code for open enrollment 4941. And that code again is 4941. Feel like an operator. So you put that in, and then it'll show you the providers in the area. You can look by zip code and et cetera. But you can take a look at those ahead of enrollment if you wish to do so.
And also, if you didn't have a pen, I also posted it online in ADP under the forms library section.
Okay. So survivor benefits, once we get on that slide, there we go. You'll see that baby looking at you like, hey, what you doing? It's looking at you because if you don't have life insurance coverage and you have little ones or you have people that depend on you, you really do need to have life insurance, whether it be here or whether it be outside of the company. So we do provide you $30,000 of life insurance, and that's paid by the company. You can elect supplemental employee life at 1, 2, or 3 times your salary, up to $300,000. And then you can also elect supplemental dependent life. The spouse level is $5,000, children is $2,000 per child, or there's family. You cover both of them, spouse and child. They're all the same cost. It's just who you want to cover, and you would be the beneficiary on those. If you are choosing supplemental employee life and your election increase, you know, you want to bump it up and it's increasing more than $20,000, which should be fairly rare unless you've gotten a big promotion or something to that effect. $20,000, you will need to submit evidence of insurability for that coverage. You need to submit that no later than October 30th to CAM, and then she will turn those in. We tried to do it online last year, but some people were having issues, so we're going back to the paper forms. So, womp womp.
And if you are applying for the evidence of insurability, it's actually in your benefit guide. It's on page 60-something. I think it starts on like page 66. Can't remember. So go ahead and fill it out and then submit it to me by October the 30th. Short-term disability. This is the first year for short-term, and I'm going to go ahead and lump long-term disability in there as well, but no evidence of insurability is required for newly added coverage. And we clap because it was an issue years past.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you, let's say, wanted, couldn't get short-term or long-term before, you can get it now without going through the underwriting process. All you have to do is go online and elect it. The employee pays 100% of the cost. How much are you covered? It's 60% of your income up to $12.50 per week. There is a 14-day waiting period when you submit a claim to Lincoln Financial, that's our provider, because they need that time to process the claim, review everything, make sure everything's in line. Your benefit duration is up to an 11-week period. And the duration is based upon your type of disability. So they're not looking to say, okay, I'm going to give you the full 11 weeks, but it's based upon your disability. So for example, if you're going out and you're claiming for maternity for birth of a child, it's a 6-week payment for vaginal delivery and an 8-week payment for C-section. So it depends. A lot of people, I get questions, hey Cam, I've been out and my payments have stopped. Why? Because they're not going to pay you the full 11 weeks because everybody's disability and what they're claiming is different. There is a pre-existing waiting period. For short-term disability, it's a 3-6. And what that means is if you have a pre-existing condition, that's what they call it, and you were treated for something 3 months prior to your effective date, they will not pay if you submitted a claim for that particular condition 6 months after that. If you submitted the claim at month 7, then they'll go ahead and make a payment. But there is a pre-existing waiting period for that. Long-term disability, as I mentioned before, there is no evidence of insurability or underwriting required for 2016. You as the employee pay 100% of the cost. The coverage for that is going to be 60% of your income up to $5,000. You have to be out for 90 days before they would pay, and that's consecutive days. The benefit duration is also based upon disability up to age 65. Either or, whichever comes first, based upon whatever they are approving you for. Again, there is a pre-existing waiting period. And for long-term disability, it's a 3-12 waiting period. So if you were treated for something 3 months prior to your effective date, they will not pay it for the next 12 months if you submitted a claim. Month 13 going forward, that's perfectly fine.
With the disability, really consider those things carefully. Again, we will do everything we can to make sure that you get the benefits that you want, but at the same time, with disability, there's nothing that we can do when somebody comes to us and goes, hey, I've just been diagnosed with, fill in the blank. I've got to be out for 12 weeks. I only have PTO for 3 weeks. I don't know how I'm going to make it. I have no savings. I have not saved up. I'm unmarried. I'm single. My spouse isn't working. You can fill in the blank there. If people rely on you for your income, or if you rely on you for your income, really consider these. I know that people look at the cost of it and go, oh, it's too expensive. I'm just going to put it in my pocket and hope for the best. And life just doesn't work out that way. There's this guy named Murphy, and he has his own ideas sometimes about what's going to happen with your life. So if you can't survive without your income, really consider short-term or long-term disability coverage, because both of those things come in helpful for many people across the company. So moving on to retirement. So this is another one where I'm going to get back on my soapbox. I won't even step down from my disability statement there. Retirement is another area where people are not saving enough money, and it's because we're immediate gratification kind of people. We like the new iPhone. Cam's shaking her head. Cam wants the new iPhone. We like the new things. We are immediate gratification. We want that vacation. We want that money in our pocket now versus setting it aside for later. But if you look down the road, what is your later going to look like if you're not saving anything? So the average cost for Medicare coverage is $3,069. Obviously, that's an annual cost. It's expensive. Average hospital stay is $2,000 per day, $9,200 on average for the time period that the elderly are in there. And 60% of workers report they and their spouses have saved less than $25,000 for retirement. I don't know how long you guys are planning to live in retirement. I'm planning on being there for a good 30 years. That $25,000 would not get me that far, and 46% are putting in less than 5% of their annual income into longer term savings or their 401k plan. If you're not contributing at all, you're missing out on the company match. I can already tell you that right now. We match, 25 cents for every dollar up to the first 6.77
6.79%.
percent. So you're already missing out on that. So one of the things that I did when I was looking at kind of other things for the plan is took a look at distributions from the plan or people taking money out of the plan. And there were people taking money out as profit sharing was going in. They were taking it out, I guess, for that new iPhone. So this is one of those examples where they're just kind of nickel and diming their 401k plan. And so between 2010 and 2015, they've taken out $10,500. What I did, I wanted to show you guys the power of compound interest and letting your money sit. So 8% interest rate, which is kind of an average interest rate for a 401k plan. If you looked at it in the last couple months, you may not see that, but over time, when you hold it long term, it works out. What I did was I took each of those deductions, put those in there, and advanced them 8% each year to see how much is this person giving up for the $10,500 now? How much are they giving up later at retirement age? So assuming they were 32 when they took this out, when they started taking out the money, and you can see that $310.65 turns into $2,680. That $4,000 that they took out in 1 year turns into, and I can't see it because the sun's shining, $59,750. So all in all, they gave up $112,000 later toward their retirement by nickel and diming it up here now. So I wanted to educate you all on that. To please just let it be. I understand that people have severe issues, a healthcare issue or a foreclosure or something like that, where maybe you have to deal with it now if there's no other way to deal with it. But taking it out for the latest and greatest iPhone, or I want to go on vacation, it's not a savings account for that purpose. It's for your future. So you can stop working at some point, so you can enjoy your retirement. So just please think about that the next time you think about taking money out. Go down here. Okay, saving for retirement. Talk about that. Compound interest. Okay, so employees age 21 and older are eligible after satisfying the waiting period. I talked about the 25 cents for every dollar match. Safe harbor contribution, you get an additional 3% of your salary for eligible employees. Every year they put that in. And then, of course, we have discretionary profit sharing. Those two things in and of themselves are huge. Typically, companies will just test the plan, and if they have people putting in too much money, they return it to them, and everybody goes on their merry way. But there's a percentage that goes into your plan every year once you've been here and meet the qualifications that can go toward your retirement. So that is compensation that you often don't think of. You're fully vested at 6 years. You can contribute pre-tax or post-tax. Pre-tax means that you pay taxes when you take out the money when you retire. Post-tax means that it's what we call a Roth feature. The money goes in post-tax. You don't pay taxes later on. You can contribute up to $18,000 a year. If you're over age 50, you can contribute an additional $6,000, so $22,000 per year. And there are different investment options out there. Don't just put them up on a dartboard and throw a dart and hope for the best. There's InvestMap, which is just by your age. It advances and changes things as you age. There's a custom investment portfolio you can choose what you want. And then there's Morningstar Management. There's Active Management where they're going to do it for you. And then there's one where you can kind of go in and answer some questions and they're going to give you some guidance on what to do. Okay, so holidays. We're going to have the same 8 holidays that we've had this year. You will notice that Christmas Eve and Christmas Day are on Friday, December 3rd and celebrated on Monday, December 26th. It's because it falls on a weekend. In the past, sometimes Christmas Eve hadn't been recognized on those, but we're going to go ahead and give you the 4-day weekend. Yay! So that's for 2016, not 2015. If you're gone 4 days, you know, with Christmas, that will be an unscheduled absence and you won't get your holiday pay. So we'll all look forward to the 4-day holiday in 2016, but those will be the holidays for next year.
So, enrolling in ADP. So we discussed all of these things, so how do you enroll? Before you start enrolling in ADP, I recommend you going under your personal profile to check your wellness incentive. When you go under there, it's on the right-hand side. You'll see if we received your biometric screening and your member health assessment. Also, when you're on that screen, there's a couple of things that we want to discuss. The FSA reimbursement option. If you're enrolling in one of the FSA plans, you can actually choose your reimbursement option here. Just click on the little pencil and it'll give you a drop-down menu to either select a Benny card, an auto enrollment form, either one of those. Other insurance, and then I'll let Michelle talk about other insurance.
Okay. So other insurance is something that UMR is required to collect from you before paying out claims. Typically, you have to tell them every 12 to 13 months that, no, I don't have any other insurance, and then they'll let those claims go through. It's basically, they want to be sure that, hey, if we're paying claims, we should be paying claims. There's a coordination of benefits that happens if you have more than one coverage in place. So you can answer that on the custom field area and we can report it for you. Otherwise, just pay attention to your EOBs or explanation of benefits that you get from UMR. If they're not paying something, there's a reason why they're not paying it. You need to contact them. A lot of times they'll put a footnote at the bottom of the page that says, in one case we had somebody that, watched 10 to 15 of these EOBs go by that had, oh, we need other insurance information. That's the only thing that they were waiting on. Then they started going to collections because they weren't paying their bills from their providers because the claims weren't being paid because they just haven't said yes or no, I have other insurance. So be sure that you pay attention to those.
So once you check your custom field to see if you met your wellness incentive, and then on October the 12th, you can actually begin enrolling. As soon as when you walk in the door and you log into ADP, there's a pop-up window. It's called a splash page that's going to remind you. It's going to say 2016 benefits open enrollment. It gives you a little bit of welcome, a snapshot of that. But at the top, right here, if you'll see, it says 10 days. So that's just an example, but it'll start counting down how many days you have left to enroll in benefits all the way up until October the 30th. I recommend, if you're familiar with the system, go out there and enroll. That way you're not waiting till the last minute because it is, technical. So, you don't want to wait till the last minute and then something happens and then you're not able to enroll the last day.
Also, you can make changes during annual enrollment as long as it's before the 30th, you're good. If you don't do anything, Halloween is going to be very scary for you this year because you're not going to have insurance in 2016. There's nothing that we can do about that if you don't go in there and do anything. So be sure that you go in there, and bonus, the sooner you do it, the sooner you stop getting emails from us.
Yay! So the next screen, once you click on, go ahead and continue and enroll, you'll see this screen here. It's going to make you review your dependents and beneficiaries. If you want to add any new dependents or beneficiaries, you just click on the little drop-down menu and add that person. You will need their date of birth and their social security number. And if it's not already in there, you will have to add it. Otherwise, it won't allow you to add them to insurance. And we need this for government reporting purposes. We're not just asking you for it. It's because we have to comply with our regulations. And also, if let's say you had a person in there that was a beneficiary only, and now you want to change them to a dependent, you will have to contact HR for us to make that change on our end. ADP is not smart enough to do that on your behalf, so you have to contact us. If you are adding any new dependents for 2016, you will have to submit proof of relationship, whether it be a marriage license or a birth certificate or a court order. Those forms are due to me by October the 30th. And then you just click on at the bottom, walk me through my benefits. It goes to the next screen. Gives you that little welcome screenshot again. And on the left-hand side, you'll see all the plans that you can enroll in. You can either click on the left-hand side, each little plan, or you can click the forward button. But you have to click on each one, even if you are opting out. It's not going to let you go to, let's say, medical, all the way to long-term disability. You have to click on each one to bypass it. For the medical plan, once you've checked your wellness incentive status, and if you're eligible, you can enroll yourself in the medical plan with that wellness. But to comply with Affordable Care Act guidelines, everybody's been put in the medical plan with that wellness. All you have to do is, if you meet the wellness incentive requirements, is unenroll yourself in this plan and enroll yourself in the other plan. And also at the bottom, if you see there is a medical overview, it also reminds you of the exact same steps that I just mentioned before, as well as a snippet of the benefit summary for the medical plan for you to review if you don't have your benefit guide in front of you. I'm going to move on to the HSA because I do get a lot of questions. Cam, which one do I need to enroll in? There's 3. It's kind of confusing. You can enroll in, if you are, let's say, electing medical employee only, then that means you're going to elect the HSA employee only bucket. If it's you and your dependents, then the HSA with family. Now, if you are maxing out and you're 55 years and older in any one of these buckets, you can also elect the HSA catch-up for 55 years and older. And it reminds you at the bottom as well, just in case if you forget. Supplemental dependent life. So I have the screen here for you to review because I also get a lot of questions about this. Keep in mind, you can only enroll in supplemental dependent life if you are enrolled in supplemental employee life. It is contingent upon the other and approval. It's named and titled Supplemental Spouse and Child. That's a family unit, so it covers everybody on the plan for your spouse and your kids. If you only have a spouse, then you enroll in the second one. If you only have a child or children, then you enroll in the third one. At the bottom, it'll also remind you of that too. You can only enroll in one of the 3 plans or none at all. It's completely up to you. Once you're all done, it's going to make you review your benefits. It wants to make sure that you understand, what you're electing. You can either review it by month for the cost or per pay period. I always recommend printing your confirmation because this is really important because I have last year had people say, I enrolled and I didn't see it on my side that you enrolled once enrollment was over. And I will ask for your benefit confirmation in that case as proof. Anything that you don't elect on this particular screen, they'll make you actually waive them. Pretty much the drop-down menu pops up and you say why you wanted to waive that particular benefit. Complete enrollment and then submit to administrator. Let's say if you enrolled on October 12th and you go back in there, at the end of the day and you wanted to make changes, you actually have to allow at least 1 business day to pass before you can go back into ADP to make your changes. And once you're all done, you'll get this fancy screen here that says your changes have been submitted. And please, I'll be out there visiting you all at the clinics as well as the home office to assist in answering any questions, helping with enrollment and things like that. So if you want that schedule, please contact your manager.
Okay, so to run through what you need to do, just remember October 30th. If you've gone to Halloween, it's going to be very scary if you haven't done anything. So enroll and make changes by October 30th. Cam has provided you step-by-step guide of how to enroll in your benefit guide. Those instructions are there. You can help one another. Cam will be out there at the clinics helping home office people. You're stuck with me. So just come up and I will help you with that. We can also do BOMGAR sessions and things like that. Forms are important. There were a few forms at the back of your guide. You have the tobacco affidavit that if you're enrolling in our medical plan, that is required to be completed. On the back of that is the enrollment information acknowledgement form. That we need back from everybody. It says that you've received it. You've received the annual notices that we're required by law to give to you. You'll see that it's 80 pages, so probably a good 30 of those are forms that we are required to give to you. So we need that. If you check the box on that form, then that allows us to send electronic things to you throughout the year. We've got to send plan descriptions and things like that after the plan year closes or after the plan year begins. And so if you don't check that box, we will be sending you probably a good, 180 pages of paper. If you like paper, great. Don't check the box. If you want to save a tree, then check the box and we will send those to you electronically. Proof of dependent relationship. Okay, it's October the 7th now. If you are adding dependents and you don't have their birth certificate or you don't have your marriage license, this is the time to go either looking for those or requesting those from the county that you got married in. So then you have time to get them. Don't come to us on October 29th and go, oh, well, I just requested it. I have the receipt. It doesn't do us any good at that point. So now's the time to start looking at those things. The Wells Fargo account authorization form, if you're newly signing up for the HSA program, we need that completed, and evidence of insurability form for a new or increase in supplemental life coverage, so it's more than $20,000. So obviously if you're new, you're going to be more than $20,000, or if you're increasing more than $20,000, then we need that form. Again, October 30th, please print your statement, your confirmation after you have enrolled in benefits. You can enroll in anything you want. That is a question that we get often is, do I have to enroll in everything? Do I have to go in? Look, if you want the non-wellness medical employee only plan and nothing else, you don't have to go in. That's what you will get. It's just that if you don't want that or you need to change things up, you have to go in, you have to go through the process. But your confirmation statement that you print out is your proof of enrollment. We work in a clinical environment, a lot of us, and if it's not documented, it didn't happen. Same with benefits. So make sure you print that out and keep that. I do have a story about one person who, said, oh, do this with my benefits, and then, said, oh, here's the confirmation statement, and looked at it, signed off on it. And then even after that, we gave you guys a week to look at your statements and your enrollment and be sure that everything was correct. That time passed. Even on January 15th, we said, hey, look at your paychecks and make sure that everything's okay and bring us any issues. And nothing from that. But in February, or actually it wasn't even February, it was April, hey, I thought I enrolled in dental insurance. Nope, you did not. That confirmation statement is very important to making sure that you have enrolled in what you want to enroll in, because that person had to wait until 2016 to enroll in their coverage and their spouse wasn't overly happy with them. So if you love your family, enroll in benefits. So 2016, we want to provide you with the information that is needed. We will, remind you as much as we can, but we will not beat you into submission into enrolling. We will not beat you into submission into doing your wellness incentives. Those are for you guys to do, and you've got to get out there and do those. Waiting until September 14th to go and have your lab screening done will not do you any good. Your physician may even say, oh, well, I saw you September 4th last year, so I can't see you until September 4th in 2016 because they won't pay me. That's false. If you make them call UMR will pay them as long as it's 2016. You get another wellness visit. You can go anytime you want. You can time it with your birthday as long as it's before, you get your results in and your form back by September 15th. You can go in July. You can go in January. You can go whenever you want. UMR will pay them. They don't care. Your physician needs to call UMR, or their office does. Sometimes they think, oh, well, I know what UMR will do, and they don't call. And so we went back and forth with that on an employee and their provider this year because, no, they will pay. Oh, no, they won't. Yes, they will. You didn't call UMR, did you? No. When they called, sure enough, they paid. So biometric screening is due. Member health assessment is due by September 15th, 2016. We're going to put more information in ADP at the beginning of 2016. Benefit enrollment time is confusing enough. We don't want to complicate that with 2016 items. And if you are a tobacco user within the last 6 months, don't forget to complete your tobacco course by February 29th, 2016. And again, that is a 4-week course. So I think we just had one other question, and it's for somebody who has the special lenses that they need and apparently don't go to an optometrist or go to somebody special. For those kind of one-off situations, I would suggest that you contact the vendor directly. So if it's a UMR vendor or if it's a Davis Vision vendor, I would suggest that you contact them and say, okay, so this is my situation. What do I need to do in order to get the best benefits? And then kind of go forward from there. So since there are no other questions, we thank you guys for joining, and we hope that it's been informative and we haven't put you to sleep at all. And if you have any questions, just please give Cam or I a call or an email.
Thanks.
Thanks.